One of the things that is interesting to find out is, or at least from the government's perspective, is how much of a gap is there between where the economy could be and where it actually is. This is the GDP. The GDP gap is the difference between where the economy is actually producing and where it could be producing. The formula for calculating the GDP gap is GDP potential minus GDP actual, where the word potential means where the economy could be producing at if everybody was working and there were no empty factories. Actual is what the economists actually observe. The procedure for calculating the GDP gap is as follows. First off, we need to write down the formula for the GDP gap, which is GDP potential minus GDP actual. We will substitute in the potential GDP into the formula. 3. Substitute the actual GDP into the formula, and then subtract the actual GDP from the potential GDP. Let's look at an example. An economy has the potential to produce $230 billion worth of goods and services. The government economists estimate the economy is actually producing $196 billion worth of goods and services. What is the GDP gap for this economy? First step is to write down the formula GDP potential minus GDP actual. The next thing we need to do is look at the problem and find the potential GDP. In this case, the potential to produce $230 billion worth of goods and services will serve as our GDP potential. We will substitute in $230 billion into the formula for the GDP potential. Next, we will locate what the economy is actually producing. In this case, it's $196 billion worth of goods and services. So we will substitute in $196 billion. The next step is to subtract $196 billion from $230 billion, or the math problem, $230 billion minus $196 billion. This leaves $34 billion for the GDP gap. So our answer is the GDP gap is $34 billion.